All right, we just wrapped up a bizarre week 5 in the NFL. Teams we thought were dead and buried, taking down perennial playoff powerhouses. That's what's great about the NFL. It always keeps you guessing. Now it's time to drop my power rankings. I'm going through, I'm watching 99% of all these games. I'm taking notes, keeping tabs, ranking all 32 teams 1 through 32. Let's hop into it. Our bottom tier teams, some of these teams, they're already looking forward to 2025. Somehow, some way, a few of these teams have a little bit of life. Teams 32 through 23. All right, I got the Browns at 32. They're just abysmal. I mean, the defense is always on the field. They offense can't move the ball. Deshaun Watson, pathetic. Garbage person, garbage quarterback. Looks like he's quitting on his team. I feel bad for Stefanski. I feel like this is like an FU to the owner, or he's mutiny. Like, he doesn't want to deal with this. He knows Watson is killing this team. New England, they're bad. Jacoby Brissett is tough to watch. The offensive line is a train wreck. They can kind of run the football, but not any sort of consistency. The playmakers are bad. The defense isn't much better. Gerard Mayo seems like he's in over his head as the head coach. It's kind of crazy to see how far the Patriots have fallen. Carolina, we know they're bad, but it kind of showed again in Chicago. Offense is at least somewhat competent with Andy Dalton at quarterback. I don't know if they're ever going to go back to Bryce Young. That bridge may have been completely burned. Chuba Hubbard had a nice day. We know their defense is bad. Chicago took advantage of them. Tennessee or Vegas, it's okay. Vegas, not really. It's awful. They're going to go to a new quarterback. Looks like it's Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew. Terrible. Devontae Adams wants to get traded or is going to get traded. Max Crosby's probably staying. They're paying the price for this awful John Gruden drafts over the years. But Antonio Pierce, another coach who seems like he's in way over his head, and it's just not good. Tennessee on a bye. Will Levis back at starting quarterback? God, I hope not. Miami wasn't really that good. They played the shitty Patriots. I mean, Tyler Huntley, not great. Devon Achane hurt again. The defense is pretty bad also. And Mike McDaniel, it sounds like word is in the building, they're sick and tired of his little shtick. And his scheme has been figured out. There were larger problems before Tua went down. I think this offense has been completely solved, and he doesn't know what to do. Jacksonville finally picking up a dub. And, there were still a bunch of Doug Peterson moments, but the Jags unjagged themselves, actually won a game down the stretch with a game-winning field goal, heading to London for 2 weeks. Let's see if Doug can survive that trip. The Rams at 25, there was some fight with the Rams, but this team is just so injured. They can't really hang with anybody. Now, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp coming back, the division getting kind of soft. I think there's a chance still for them, but this defense is really bad. Colts, Joe Flacco actually had a really good game for them, but this defense is abysmal. It's awful. They didn't have any Jonathan Taylor run game. He was out, so they couldn't get anything going there. It is what it is. And they're going to go back to Anthony Richardson, who is not at all a better quarterback for this team. Joe Flacco threw for over 300 yards, had multiple passing touchdowns. It's bad. And the Jets, man, God, this play calling is just so tough. Rodgers throwing the ball like 50 times against the Vikings. They made it close. The defense put up a great showing against the Vikings offense. They shut them down pretty much since, for 3 quarters. Really, they couldn't do anything but 3 picks from Rodgers, no running game whatsoever to speak of. It's really weird. I don't know how the Jets running game got worse with like better offensive lineman, Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and now even a better running back duo. I can't understand it. But let's go up to our middle tier teams here now, teams 22 through 16. Okay, how about the New York Football Giants? Huge win in Seattle for the G-Men. No Malik Neighbors, no Devin Singletary, no problem. And Daniel Jones, honestly, has been pretty good since that week 1 game against the Vikings. Maybe they were just overwhelmed. Who knew the Vikings defense would be this good? And since then, they've looked pretty good throughout the year. That's a huge win, contributing on defense, doing a decent job, stopping Seattle's run game, making big plays on special teams, blocking the game-winning field goal, going it back for a touchdown. I mean, honestly, if they don't fumble going into the end zone for a scoop and score 100 yards, this game is a blowout. And honestly, we don't know. Like, if there's a different camera angle, maybe he was in the end zone. So great win for the Giants. Bengals, this was not on the offense. Years ago, I had Bengals fans telling me how great a coach Zach Taylor was. Zach Taylor is trash, man. He's a garbage coach. Him and Sweet Lou, this defense is abysmal, but they are a poorly coached team. Offense was awesome there. I can't explain the overtime nonsense. Like, Good God, man. This game should have been over. Play it like a bozo. You lose the game. Chicago coming along nicely. Offense is looking better. They're actually running the football. Who knew if you could run the football, things get easier on your rookie quarterback. Caleb Williams coming along nicely. Now, the schedule's been cupcake. It's going to keep being cupcake for a few more weeks now. The schedule really, really tightens up down the stretch. 6 games against the rest of the division. Easily the best division in football right now. Cardinals, huge win for the Cardinals. Down 10 at half. No problem. Taking care of business in San Francisco. Honestly, I was about to burn this thing to the ground with Kyler Murray. His body language, his all this nonsense that we always see from him after he threw that pick to Bosa. Bounce back, look strong. And yeah, this is kind of like a team that plays hard every week. They're not very good on defense. They have potential on offense for sure. But I don't know, man. It's like a weird out every week. The Chargers are on a bye here. We'll see. They need to get healthy. They had pretty much like all their starters missing last week against the Chiefs. They need to get healthy, so hopefully that heals them up. Saints, pretty bad performance on Monday against the Chiefs. I tried to tell y'all early season I was not a buyer of the Saints. I did not think the Saints were good. I thought it was fool's gold. Looking like fool's gold. Like, they couldn't do anything. One big play to Shaheed tonight, and that was it. I know Kansas City's defense is elite, but Derek Carr is Derek Carr, and he looked like Derek Carr, a mediocre to bad quarterback in this league. And the Saints defense kind of got wore down by the Chiefs. Not a good showing whatsoever. And finally, Denver at 16. Probably the best the Broncos have looked so far this season. And don't stop now. They've won 3 in a row. Defense has greatly improved. They're stopping the run. Patrick Surtain is the cornerback 1 in this league. He is out of this world, like robotic good. Doesn't miss coverages, doesn't blow coverages, and he just makes plays. And Bo Nix looking a little bit better. I want to see the Broncos run the ball more. This offense isn't great. The Raiders are pretty awful. But yeah, nice 3-game win streak. Who knows, man? Maybe the Broncos soft schedule, 9-10 wins. But let's get into it. What you came here for, your top 15 teams. Okay, 15, I got the Steelers dropping 4 spots. Look, it was a weird game on Sunday night. You have a long rain delay. They finished this game at like 1 a.m. local time. It was kind of a crazy day of football. But man, the defense can only do so much. The offense was really, really bad against a beat-up Cowboys defense. They had nobody in their secondary, it felt like. And the Steelers couldn't throw the ball at all. They certainly couldn't run the ball. And this is a Dallas team that's really struggled to stop the run. It was just a massive regression for the Steelers offense. And the defense can only do so much. I don't think they were very prepared for the Cowboys to run the football, and they ran it very effectively. Picked up a couple of injuries on that defense. It was just a gritty, grindy game, and they didn't make the plays to win the game. They had a chance, forced a fumble on the goal line, couldn't recover it. Forced the Cowboys into a 4th down spot, couldn't get the stop there, and it's just kind of a bad loss for the Steelers. I think it's a blown opportunity, against the Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't play great at all. Dak had a couple of interceptions. It just was not a sharp performance, and this is the problem with the Steelers. I was worried about. I thought the offense had been coming along the last few weeks, and the defense was going to be able to carry them. And it's looking like a regression to the mean, and they cannot win a lot of games playing like this week in and week out. Okay, 14. Speaking of the Cowboys, we got the Cowboys up 2 spots back into the top 15. I thought this was a gritty win for the Cowboys, man. Like I said, very beat up on defense, missing guys all over the place. Completely shut down the Steelers offense. Now, I know the Steelers offense is the Steelers offense, but still, they had been humming the last few weeks. And Dallas finally ran the ball. Holy shit, Rico Dowdle, that's the guy you need to run the ball with. They ran the ball so much more effectively. Dak didn't worry about the interceptions. He pretty much iced out CeeDee Lamb in the second half because diva wide receiver is gonna diva. And he made big time plays, had the big touchdown pass to win the game. I thought Dak played really, really well on that final drive. Just, it wasn't a pretty win. It wasn't anything you want to write home about. But the Cowboys' season had been kind of reeling, and they needed to pick up these wins. Now they got a big game next week against the Lions. Ooh, boy, oh boy, that's going to be a good one there. But the Cowboys back in it again. Let's see how this defense rebounds against a high-flying offense. Okay, number 13, I got the Seattle Seahawks down 4 spots. This was a bad home loss against a Giant squad that was completely undermanned offensively. And the Seahawks defense now for 2 weeks in a row just cannot stop anybody. Now, they've been banged up along the defensive line, but they're getting killed, man. It is not good. You can't let a backup running back and a Giants offense that is Not great. It's kind of below average, especially running the football. Gash you like that. Danny Dimes looks like old Danny Dimes. He's an all pro, all world quarterback lately. Maybe Minnesota's defense was just that good week one because he has looked so much better since then. You don't have your stud rookie receiver, Malik Neighbors, and you grind out a really nice win. Honestly, if you don't fumble going into the end zone that leads to a 100-yard touchdown for Seattle, this is an ass kicking. You block a field goal, run it back for a touchdown. It was domination all around from the Giants. Now the Seahawks pushed back late, but I don't know, man. It didn't feel right. They couldn't block up front. The running game couldn't ever get going. Gino, his only target was like Tyler Lockett most of this game. They stormed back a little bit towards the end there. You throw the late touchdown, you get into field goal range to attempt to tie it. And it just wasn't working for Seattle this week, kind of regressing back to the mean. But good news is the division isn't that great. Everybody's clumped around there. You drop 2 games in a row, still in first place. So they got it all in front of them. I still think this is a playoff team, but they got to work through, like I said, these young rookie head coach teams. They get mistakes going. They got to work through some stuff, but this defense definitely got to step it up. Okay, at 12, I got the 49ers at 12, man. This was probably the worst loss of the weekend. Have a double-digit lead against the Cardinals at home going into the second half, and you just shit the bed again. There's something off with this 49ers team. Now, we were down on the Niners coming into this year. We thought they were going to be good, not quite as good as they have been in years past, but it's just all sort of out of wax. I don't think Brock Purdy played bad at all. I thought he was fine out there. Does throw the late interception. That's not his fault. Mason fumbles, which would have essentially put this game away, but the defense couldn't stop anybody in the second half. This defensive unit has really taken a step back from what we've seen in years past. They aren't really getting after the quarterback enough. They do a good job at forcing turnovers. Had a really nice pick, Nick Bosa, against Kyler Murray. But they don't stop anybody. They don't do a great job against the run. Kyler Murray torched them on the ground. They don't really cover people too well. Had a nice day through the air. It's just kind of a mediocre-ass defensive unit. Now, Christian McCaffrey being out hurts this team a lot. They've been banged up all across the board. Kittle's been hurt. Debo's been hurt. Ayuk held out, but he's finally back. Had a really big game from Ayuk. That's a positive sign for them. But it feels like there's rumblings that it's just not right in the building. Maybe Kyle Shanahan's losing the locker room. Guys are kind of done with him. He looks like he's lost how to coach at the end of football games. It's getting really bad. I'd be really concerned if I'm a Niners fan, but this is still way too talented of a team. The division's way too close for me to count them out yet. They should probably still get into the playoffs. Could easily win the division and they could turn this thing around. McCaffrey's back in a couple weeks. He's totally healthy and they're back on track. But for right now, Niners at 12. Okay, up 2 spots this week. I got the Green Bay Packers here at 11. Nice win on the road against the Rams, but they were getting dominated, it felt like, for the entire first half of this game. They couldn't move the football, struggling to score points. They do get a late score at the end of the half to kind of bring things back, but they really stormed on in the second half. They dominated LA offensively, defensively, forced multiple turnovers. This is how this defense lives. They're not the best unit in the world. They do get beat. They do give up big plays, but they are turning teams over at a ridiculous rate. Now, can you live the entire NFL season like that? No, but is it going to be good enough to win you a lot of football games? Absolutely. Jordan Love got a lot of Brett Favre in him, man. That pick 6 he threw in the end zone was just bad, trying to avoid a safety. Sometimes you do just got to eat the safety, man. But he does also have that big playability. My man Tucker Kraft getting involved. He has a tight end like slip screen that goes for 40 and a touchdown. Kind of a crazy play you're going to see from a tight end down the sidelines. But there was more balance. Josh Jacobs got his first rushing touchdown of the year. This team is lacking a number 1 wide receiver. It feels like there's just no dog out there. Everybody talks about these great young receivers. None of them are a dog. Like, nobody is that guy out there. They're all good. They're all 1B, to B guys. They need a top tier wide receiver. And there's a couple of guys out there that maybe they have a reunion with to put this team over the edge. It's a well-coached unit. You want to see the offense cut down on the turnovers. You want to see the defense start getting more stops and stop giving up yards and not being so reliant on forcing turnovers, because these are things that tend to average out as the year goes on and can always go against you in a one-game playoff game. But for right now, Green Bay trending in the right direction. Love just a game and now 2 games back in. He should be getting better. And yeah, Green Bay trending. I think they're going to be a nice, sneaky good playoff team. Okay, at number 10, I still got the Eagles here. They were on a bye this week, and the bye couldn't have come at a better time. They've been banged up at the skill position. A.J. Brown has only played 1 game. Devonta Smith missed last week against the Buccaneers. So they needed a fresh reset, get Saquon a little bit rest up, and try and figure this thing out. Now, I'm surprised they didn't fire Nick Sirianni on the bye and bring in Bill Belichick, because Sirianni's the problem with this team. He's not an X's and O's guy. He's a rah-rah goofball, and that it just doesn't work. He's got no control of this team, and this team is super undisciplined. Jalen Hurts is still turning the ball over way too much, and the defensive secondary is abysmal, but there are a couple of young guys back there, so they can hopefully work those things out. The run defense has been much better this year, and they're doing a decent job at getting after the quarterback, but it feels like once you watch the first quarter of an Eagles game, you know whether they're going to win or lose. It's just kind of that performance for them. They're like, oh yeah, they're all in or they're all out. It's just kind of, they're one of those teams. We need to see more consistency from their playmakers. They need to get healthy from them. I'm not going to burn the Eagles down to the ground. It doesn't look right, but the NFC East, you know, it's an open division. We got the Cowboys who are looking better. The Commanders are the high-flying team right now. Hard to trust a rookie quarterback is going to keep up that much success for this entire season. Still going to be a good team. We don't know about Washington's defense, so it's all in front of Philadelphia. I expect them to work some things out, but this could get bad very quickly if they hop out of this bye and they're just a disaster. It could get ugly really fast because I don't know what it is about this Eagles team. They're so talented, but again, every week it's just kind of a disappointment. Okay, at number 9, I got the Falcons and Kirk Chainz up to number 9. Big win on Thursday night against the Buccaneers. Now, they had no business winning this game. Absolutely zero business winning this game. A horrible mismanagement by Tampa Bay cost them that game. But Kirk Cousins slinging the rock over 500 yards passing, set a franchise record, and he looking sharp. You know, he really struggled through the first few weeks coming back from that injury, tore his Achilles last year. He's an old man. It's going to take some time to work these things out. I think they were just overwhelmed week 1 against Pittsburgh. They've looked much better, took care of the Eagles, you know, a good game against the Chiefs, and 2 back-to-back division thriller walk-off wins. Walk off the Saints, walk off the Buccaneers. Now, you want those division games to be a little bit less close because obviously you're vying for that division title there. But I think this team is starting to come into their own. Their defense is getting a little bit better. It's still not great. They are doing a better job at getting after the quarterback. They're okay against the run. Secondary is solid at times. It's just an average defensive unit, but that can complement well if this Falcons offense is going to be moving the ball up and down the field, scoring points, giving their defense some rest to try and help them figure things out. I want to see Bijan and the running game get more established. That's kind of been what's missing for them. We saw Drake London finally have his first real big game connection with Kirk Cousins, which is what you love to see if you're a Falcons fan. I think the Falcons are a team trending in the right direction, and their schedule gets easier as we go on here. The tough part of their schedule was the early part of their schedule. Now they got some road division games here, but they still got to play the Panthers twice. That's 2 wins right there. And yeah, I think it's a good team, and the Falcons, a team I like to win this division, are perfectly suited to finish this thing out. Okay, at 8, I'm keeping the Buccaneers at 8. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a horrible loss against the Falcons. They dominated for a majority of that game. They were moving the ball effectively. You know, the numbers weren't crazy flashy. Baker Mayfield had 3 touchdowns. They ran the ball better than they had in the few weeks prior. Bucky Irving's fumble, just a gut-wrenching killing, and just bad. You know, Todd Bowles, man, why do these defensive coaches make bad, just awful game management moves? Like, it feels like only defensive coaches do these insanely bad, you know, conservative moves that, like, I don't know, man. They could have easily ran that clock out after they got the interception there. They get the holding penalty. This was just a concurrence of awful events to make them lose this game. They lose the toss in overtime. The defense is winded, but I'm not going to look past that. Buccaneers are still a really good team. Baker Mayfield, when you doubt him, is the best quarterback in the league somehow. But if you believe in him, he's awful. I think there was a little bit of too much belief in Baker. The doubt's going to be back. Look, the offense is really good still. You have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, 2 of the best receivers in the league on a single team. I mean, it's an elite combo right there. Baker's a good quarterback. Baker is easily a top 15, probably a top 10 quarterback in this league right now when he's humming. I want to see the run game get better. Rachaad White's just so inefficient. And Bucky Irving's it's been a nice running, addition, but that fumble, bad. The defense, stopping the run better this week, got torched though. They had been awesome against the pass, kind of reverting back to what we saw last year. I'm still high on the Buccaneers. I still like them to seriously push for a division title here because, it's not going to kill you. Road division game against the next best team. Those are the games you'll want to win, but you don't necessarily have to win those games when it's all said and done. So I still like Tampa here at 8. I'm not going to panic. Got 10 days rest. I expect a really nice performance from them because realistically, they should have won this game. Okay, it's 7. I got the Buffalo Bills here. Look, this is 2 games in a row. The Bills have just looked bad, man. After starting out 3-0, looking like one of the best teams in the league, they just have not been good. Now, it's 2 road games against top-tier AFC opponents, but this is the Bills team we know and love. Big games, big spots. They fold, man. They make bad coaching decisions. They make bad quarterback plays. This offense has not been great. They aren't able to get a running game going with James Cook. Josh Allen's having to grind it out, and another team that's missing a dude at wide receiver. Now, I like Keon Coleman as a rookie. Khalil Shakir doesn't play in this game. He's been their solid guy, but it's just like we're throwing the ball to Mac Hollins in big spots. I mean, Mac Hollins an interesting cat, but he ain't a guy that should be getting a ton of looks in big situations there. So they got to get this thing worked out. The offensive line hasn't been great either. They're forcing Josh Allen out of the pocket, having to run a lot. Don't want to see that. Now, Allen likes to run and he's good at it, but it's not ideal for this offense. So they got to get things cleaned up on offense. This defense, we've been worried about this run defense. I talked about it last week. There were some signs there that it was a dam about to break. Baltimore broke it open. Houston was pretty effective running the ball there early in the game. Now, they did struggle it a little bit when Nico Collins went down. Otherwise, I think this game's a blowout. Houston had to adjust. But by God, Sean McDermott with the worst coach. Run the ball. Run the ball. You're at your own 3-yard line. Run the ball and go to overtime. You're playing better down the stretch than Houston was. Run the ball. Go to overtime. I know Buffalo has got PTSD from overtimes that they lose the toss and they never see the ball again. You're going to have to get over that shit, man. You're going to have to get over it. Play for overtime sometimes. You do a goofy shit like that, you give the ball back to Houston, they bang a 59-yarder. At least Sean McDermott took credit for this. But this goes into another theory I have. Teams that are thinking about firing their head coach and possibly moving on from their head coach, just do it. Name a scenario where it's ever worked where teams like they're kind of waffling, people are speculating they might move on from their head coach, they bring them back, and it just works out amazingly. No, it's always, just another year, they're fired, and they've delayed their start another year. This team should have got rid of McDermott when they lost in the playoffs again. Bring in a different kind of voice. Bring in a Bill Belichick, a guy who has experience in winning playoff games. He can deal with the defense. Don't worry about the offense. You already have the quarterback. They'll figure that out because, my God, Sean McDermott just always underwhelms when it comes to these situations. And we saw the Denver Broncos do a similar thing. Had John Fox, they were winning a lot of games, getting to the playoffs. They fired him. They moved to Kubiak. They win another Super Bowl. So teams like that got to make a similar move there. But Buffalo at 7 right now and kind of a must-win game against the Jets this weekend. Okay, I got the Commanders at 6 here of 6 spots. Maybe the hottest team in the league. This offense has been incredible. I don't think anybody could have predicted Jaden Daniels would be this good, this fast. We liked him. We thought he was going to run too much and end up ultimately getting hurt because he's such a slender frame. But man, this offense is humming. Daniels' decision-making is still really good. Had a bad pick in the red zone there. But other than that, awesome. Throws an incredible deep ball, gets his guys open, and he trusts his reads. He sees it. He trusts it. That's the stuff that rookie quarterbacks tend to hesitate with. They second guess themselves. They're a second late on that throw because of that hesitation, and bad things happen. We don't see any of that with Daniels. And look, this is a well-coached team. Cliff Kingsbury, not a good head coach. Good offensive coordinator, good play designer in this league. I expect to keep this up. Now, people are worried that we're going to see the Cardinals collapse, but he's not the head man. It's Dan Quinn. It's an established coach, a guy who's been to the Super Bowl, who lets the offense do what he wants, but he holds everybody accountable. And this defense, what we thought was the worst defense in the league, has been really decent the last 2 weeks. Now, I know the Browns are horrendous and maybe the worst offense in football, and Deshaun Watson just yikes. but it's a positive sign. You start getting confidence, you start playing fast, you start making plays. When the offense is scoring points left and right, that has an effective run game that can sustain possessions, they're excellent on third down, and then the defense can get rest. Dan Quinn can draw something up. It just kind of spirals and gets out of control. And the division, it's wide open, man. None of these teams in this division feel like a juggernaut or like the team to beat. So why not Washington? I'm super high on them. Now, they could all fall apart. It could all fade. I expect Jaden Daniels to take a little bit of a step back, but we're getting into serious uncharted territory now with this rookie quarterback. I kind of love the Commanders. They're fun to watch. It's fun when Washington has a good football team. And I think this is a good football team. Definitely would not be surprised they win this division, maybe even win a playoff game. Okay, number 5, I got the Texans up a spot here at 5. Good win at home against the Bills. And it looked like they were going to dominate this game. Kind of had to grind it out. They lose Nico Collins after a big touchdown reception, relying on Tank Dell, who was coming back from injury, and Stephon Diggs. And they have like a carousel of third and fourth string running backs carrying the load. CJ Stroud has been out of his mind this year. He's been really, really sharp. Now, he's much better when you can get a running game behind him, but he still makes all the big time throws. He makes good decisions. He's getting a little bit more aggressive. So it is leading to some more turnovers, which you don't want to see. But you got to take the good with the bad. Sometimes he just wouldn't throw the ball last year to avoid those turnovers, and that's what you should do as a rookie quarterback. But when you're a guy who's now played in this league and you got the confidence, sometimes you got to force the ball in there to those tight windows to make big plays. And Houston likes playing ugly, man. They kind of played ugly last year, but we kind of forget that because of how good the playoff win was against the Browns. This was an ugly football team last year, and they've looked a little bit ugly this year, but they're winning games. It frustrates me that the offense doesn't do more, but it does enough to win games. That's all you can ask for from this kind of offense. So I'm high on Houston. The defense was okay. It's been better. It's kind of a hodgepodge of whatever back there. They make big plays. They have a good pass rusher. They have a good corner, but they just still give up too much sometimes. But I expect that, it's going to work itself out. I trust D'Amico Ryans. So Houston here at number 5. Okay, down a spot this week. I don't love doing this. The Detroit Lions down to 4, but they were on a bye. It's not really their own fault. I just think, the teams that played looked a little bit better and boosted themselves. Now, Detroit coming off a big win against Seattle on Monday night. The question is the Lions defense here. The Lions defense got carved up by the Seahawks offense. They couldn't do anything against an okay Giants unit. So that is now concerning to me a little bit more than we thought, because their defense had been a really strong point for them all season. But the offense finally got humming, scored 40 plus points against Seattle. But again, now a little concerning. I thought the Seahawks defense was better than maybe it was after we saw this Giants game. But if they can keep doing this, run the football effectively, get the ball to Amon-Ra, I want to see a little bit more Sam Laporta get involved. And Jared Goff, obviously spectacular on that Monday night game. If he can play a lot more like that, doesn't have to be that good, but closer to that than what we saw the first few weeks, because he really wasn't sharp those first few weeks. This is going to be a great team again. The Lions all in front of them for the division. They're on a bye now. Not the best bye week. Everybody else in the division won, so you kind of hate to see that. Ideally, everybody would have lost this week because it was an opportunity for the Vikings and the Packers to, drop a game there, but they didn't. I'm not worried about the Lions. Big game this week, though. They got the Cowboys coming to town. Weak, beat up secondary, beat up defense in general. I want to see another big offensive performance, and I want to see their defense step up against a Cowboys offense that looks like starting to get rolling, ran the ball effectively. Aiden Hutchinson still leads the league in quarterback pressures, even though he didn't play this week at 40, which is a ridiculous number. So if you're still able to get after quarterbacks, good things are going to happen. Got to watch out for Terrion Arnold, though, on the back end, though. All he does is grab and hold. Teams are going to start taking advantage of that. But if he can get that cleaned up, which I'm sure they're going to definitely try and coach that out of him there, Detroit's as good of a team as anybody in this league. Okay, number 3, up 2 spots. I got the Baltimore Ravens, man. What a huge win for the Ravens. Now, it wasn't a clean game. It wasn't necessarily a pretty game, but the Bengals' backs were up against the wall. You're on the road in the division. And for once, instead of blowing the 10-point lead like the Ravens always do, they came back from a 10-point deficit. Lamar Jackson, ridiculous game. Oh my gosh. I mean, we've all seen the play. If you haven't, look up Lamar Jackson, stiff arm touchdown, just unbelievable. Fumbles the ball, stiff arms a defensive lineman twice, throws a touchdown. I mean, that's just what Lamar does and when he's making his plays. Now, it did almost go bad, and I loved it. I loved it. It's a huge win. They win the game in overtime, but they almost blow it because of a Lamar snap off of his face, and he was angry, man. He was pissed off. That's what I want to see from my quarterback. He said I'd be the happiest guy if I didn't have that fumble, and they did. Derrick Henry still a monster, huge run to ice the game in overtime for them. This is the offense. You can pound the rock, throw the football when you need to. Lamar is really good at doing both of those things, and it just puts defenses in a bind. I think they have 750 yards more rushing than teams. It's something like some absurd number with how good the rushing has been for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the defense, it needs to be better. It's okay. It's good up front. The back end's bad. We saw it exposed again against the Bengals. Now, the Bengals are one of the elite passing offenses in the NFL. I know the record isn't great, but the offense hasn't been the issue in Cincinnati, like I said. So it could be one of those things. I mean, they've played some of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. It's going to come back down to earth. I'm not 100% worried about the Baltimore secondary, maybe as much as other people are. They're going to get coached up, and they're just not going to play as good of quarterbacks. I mean, when you look at the quarterbacks they have played so far, Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. I mean, come on, man. These are some of the best quarterbacks in the league. They played Dak Prescott in the Cowboys. These are elite quarterbacks. These are the top end guys. So they're going to get, Deshaun Watson twice. They're going to get some freebies there. They're going to play Justin Fields twice or Russell Wilson. So it's going to get easier for this Baltimore back end. I think this is a perfect combination of grind games out, pound the rock, throw the ball when you have to, get Mark Andrews more involved, hopefully. We want to see more of him. Get the ball to Zay Flowers, and then let that defense rest, take their opportune moments. This is a well-coached team. They're going to figure some things out. Love to see Justin Tucker still got it in them, even though it was kind of a chip shot field goal. Want to see him just get the confidence back because it kind of looked like he's been shaken a bit on his confidence. But yeah, Ravens as good as anybody right now and maybe better than some of the teams ranked in front of them. Okay, I can't believe we're here, but we're here. My Vikings at 2, 5-0, best record in the NFC, the only remaining undefeated in the NFC. And look, it was not pretty. Go over to London, and they jump out to another 17-point lead. Almost blow it again. The offense could do absolutely nothing once Aaron Jones went down. Ty Chandler just not an improvement at running back there. Sam Darnold struggled. He was kind of off all day. Jefferson blanketed, getting grabbed, held. They just weren't letting them get comfortable. But the defense showed you can win in multiple ways. Picked off Rodgers 3 times, had a pick 6 in this game. My man Andrew Van Ginkel, maybe the most underrated defensive player in the league. But this is a really nice win because the Vikings have been a high-flying team, getting out to big leads. In the last 2 weeks, they blow those leads, but the defense steps up and gets the stops when needed. And give the offense some credit. The Vikings offense did go down there and tack on a field goal on their last drive to make the Jets need a touchdown instead of just a field goal. So when the chips are up against them, this team has shown that they can push back and make big plays, go on big sustained drives, and make those winning additions. Now, they're heading into the bye. They need the bye. Got to get healed up a little bit. But right now, there's very few flaws with this Vikings team besides their special teams. Special teams is abysmal, and it's not their kicker. Will Reichard, the rookie out of Alabama, has been awesome. But if they can get those things cleaned up, figure out how to run the ball without Aaron Jones and adjust to some things, this is still a really complete football team. I'm interested to see how they look coming out of the bye. Big division game against the Lions. Okay, number 1, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe the most deserving that they've been this season to be that number 1. I've had a lot of pushback, like the Chiefs have looked bad. It's been gritty. It's been grimy, ugly wins. This felt like a wire-to-wire victory. Their defense has been the unsung hero of the season so far. They are amazing most times out there. They always seem to get a third down stop. They always seem to get the ball back to Mahomes, and they just suffocated. They had one bad blown coverage tonight against the Saints, and that burned them. But other than that, it was a clean operation. Really didn't let the Saints get the run game going. They were hitting Carr all night long. And the Chiefs offense, awesome. They got a running game going. Kareem Hunt, over 100 yards rushing for the first time in like 4 years. Juju Smith-Schuster, over 100 yards receiving for the first time since 2022. Besides the ball hitting him in the hands in the end zone that led to a pick, that was like the one mistake they had tonight. It was a really efficient operation. They were clean. Mahomes doing Mahomes things. They got Kelsey involved. This is definitely the best they've looked since week 1 against the Ravens, and they've been massively beat up. They're heading into the bye undefeated. You can't ask for anything more than that if you're a Chiefs fan. And it sounds like Rashee Rice has a serious chance of being back this season. So you're going to get Pacheco back. You could get Rashee Rice back. And then they're going to be able to make a trade possibly to add one more receiver. But if you're going to look like this, if you're going to make it like we're going to run the ball effectively with Kareem Hunt, we're going to pick up some nice passing plays, you're still going to be struggling grimy against really good teams in this league. But against these bad teams, if you don't have to grind them out and can just pick up nice clean dubs, that's what you need. But that's going to do it for us this week. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I love debating back and forth with you guys in the comments. If you haven't already, drop a quick like on this video. Hit that sub button. We got daily sports content. It may or may not be my birthday when you're watching this video this week, so drop a sub and like for your boy. If you want to check out one of your teams live, head on over to SeatGeek.com. Use code afterthereview for $20 off your first purchase. That's SeatGeek.com. Code afterthereview for $20 off. If you want to support the channel more, sign up for a channel membership. You get all sorts of access to cool exclusive perks. Help support me. Again, like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all tomorrow.